Hey, if you're new, welcome to the cozy corner of the internet. I'm your host, Christina, and I help people stop shrinking and start living. I don't know about you, or maybe it's just my algorithm, but online and offline, I'm seeing a lot of people talk about the population decline. Greece has got it pretty bad at the moment. It's hit the US, Japan has had it for a long time now, and it's been hitting the UK too. I'm not surprised at all. Men and women don't talk to each other. Everyone hates dating apps. Everyone hates dating, period. The divorce rate is 50%. It's so expensive to raise a child. Childcare alone could be literally your whole entire month's salary. So each time I see a headline on this, I'm not surprised at all. Even if you do have a stable job in the UK, I'm a doctor. I know many of my friends are doctors. Many of us face unemployment in the next few years. I'm not exaggerating. I'm being so genuinely serious. What a great way to start off the video. What a time to be alive. Sorry to start the video on such a negative note. For years and years, I've always heard people say, oh, there's no right time to have kids. You'll just know, it'll feel right. There's no right time. You'll never be ready. And maybe that is the case. I would love it if there are parents watching. Please let me know your comments below. Is that genuinely the case? You'll never feel ready. You just kind of have to have them. Because back in the day, when the economy wasn't, looking like this, and you could actually have kids in your early 20s, there was no ginormous fear of the biological clock. You weren't on a time crunch to have a kid by 30 or have a kid by 35, because you could actually be stable and married by 30. To a lot of us today, that seems quite rare and not as common. But back in the day, that wasn't really a thing. I remember speaking to my mum about this. She had me at my age, she was 23 when she had me, and so now I'm 24, so I would have been a 1-year-old at my age now, and I can't even imagine that. When she told me that, I was like, oh my gosh, imagine me being a mum with a 1-year-old. That is wild. And now, me personally, I'm actually not afraid of the biological clock. It's just my personal opinion. I know people tend to kind of fixate on the fertility side of things, and that is an issue. After 40 it does dip, but it's actually genuinely, for me, it's after 40 there are just risks involved. There are just so many risks of having a child at that age. I'm not trying to scare anyone, but I've just seen things at work on my placements. With that being said, knowing the risks, I'm actually not afraid of it. I just feel for me, everything in life will happen when it needs to. If I'm lucky enough to find the right partner, be stable enough to feel ready enough to have a kid at 31, at 32, at 35, at 36, I'll just have a kid. But say I miss the boat, I just miss the boat, don't I? I've never been opposed to adoption as well, so I think that's why I don't have a fear of the biological clock. I don't feel like I'm in a rush to kind of have kids by a certain time. I also feel maybe you guys can relate as well. I also don't feel in a rush to have kids because there's no real incentive to start a family. What I mean by that is there's an incentive to get a job. You literally need a roof over your head, and you literally need a place to stay. You literally need to pay the bills. And also, if you're lucky enough to find a job that you really love, you're passionate about, it brings a lot of emotional fulfillment as well. However, with kids and with a family, emotional fulfillment is kind of way up there on the list of having a tight-knit family with amazing support and just, fun things you do. That would bring you so much fulfillment. Besides that, though, I feel you're fed a lot more drawbacks to having a family. It slows you down in your career as a woman. You're 9 months out of the game and you maybe aren't skilled up as you were before. There's the fears of how it will affect you physically, and your body changes and your hormone changes and your health changes. Or, I don't know, your friendship dynamics changing. You're a mum now and no one else is. Or, you only talk about your kids. You never talk about fun stuff anymore. It's tough because in society, there's so many role models to give you so much information and help you strive for future career progression and help you be ambitious about your career. But there's absolutely no incentive I see in my own life to start a family. That's not a priority that I see being fed. I do currently have a really, really tight-knit close family. I have multiple group chats with my family. There's the cousins one, then there's the main one, then there's just me and my mum and my mum's partner one. I'm really close with my family. Family is super important to me, and it hasn't always been the case. We've been working to make ourselves more tight-knit over the years, and I'm really glad that we are quite close now. But say you're someone who grows up in a family where actually you're a bit more distant, you and your mum and your dad and your sibling, you kind of all just do your own different thing. You never have dinner together. You don't really catch up about how was your day and what have you been up to. When that's the case, why would you even be incentivized to start a family? It's almost a distraction, if anything. You could just keep grinding on your career. You could just hustle into your 30s, into your 40s. You could just put it on the back burner. The incentive to have kids and start a family is for amazing emotional support and emotional fulfillment, but that's not often what you're sold. The image of family can be sold as broken sometimes. Oh, 50% of marriages end in divorce. Oh, kids are annoying. They smell and they vomit and they mess up the car. It really depends on who you hang around and what your circle is, but there are no role models often for families unless you come from a really positive one. And that's kind of why I think a lot of us aren't even postponing families or postponing motherhood, postponing fatherhood. I think we're just prioritizing stability. I do not even have to go into detail about the state of the economy for you guys to know what I'm talking about. Something I've noticed recently as well is I feel like family and parenthood, motherhood is almost becoming a bit political nowadays. On Twitter, possibly the worst platform for politics. It's so divisive on there. It's literally terrible. On Twitter, I've seen a lot of people talk about how, when you look at how Gen Z men and women rank success based on your political views, the right-leaning and the left-leaning. Right-wing leaning Gen Z voters tend to prioritize having children as, a marker of success versus left-leaning people who voted for Kamala. They tend to rank careers and jobs as a marker of success. And this is almost being pushed as like a negative thing. Women nowadays are the reason of the downfall of the modern family. Women aren't prioritizing family anymore. Women are prioritizing their career, as if this is a bad thing. Whereas I feel like this is the decision we're being forced to make out of a lack of choice. For example, I see when you have children, I almost see your life as becoming slightly less agile. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean like you physically couldn't just up and move city tomorrow. Even if, say, you needed to up and move for a career opportunity, you've been offered a job that pays you, 50% more in your salary, but it's on the other side of the country, and your 2 kids are in school, and your partner has a stable job in a certain, company locally. It just seems quite hard to like just be agile and move things around in your life as in if you need to. So I personally don't see it as a negative thing to see this table, for example, where on the left-leaning side, most people actually rank having a job or career you find fulfilling as a marker of success, because over the grand span of your lifetime, most of your waking hours will be spent at work. So it makes sense for me that like you find that fulfilling. That does seem like a marker of success. Something I have seen a lot recently is people that do tend to lean on the right side of the political spectrum have been pushing family a lot recently. I've seen a lot of people push this like, men are happier when they're married, or, the best thing that a young man can do for himself is get married. And I find this so interesting. It doesn't surprise me that all the statistics I've seen around men are happier when they're married, or, married men are richer men, because the longest study Cambridge ever did on literally any topic ever, their longest study showed that actually the number one marker for happiness and well-being in your life is the quality of your relationships. If you're a person with close-knit, deep friendships, relationships, marriages, acquaintances, you are going to be a happier, more fulfilled person. So it makes a lot of sense to me that, say, a married man would be a happier man than a single man. Even the case for women, like I'm sure, a married woman with close-knit relationships is a happier woman than a single woman. However, I think it skews more on the male side because in the modern day, men do tend to be lonelier. Like there is a loneliness epidemic, but there's an even more serious epidemic when it comes to men. This alone is something I could talk about for a very long time, because I almost think that women tend to find it slightly easier to have deeper connections. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure men have friendships too, but when you're a woman, you are blessed with the privilege that opening up doesn't really have as much shame attached to it. When you're a guy and you're opening up, there is a huge stigma around that. And when people try and make marriage and having children political, women are the reason for so many things going wrong, I'm just like, this isn't always by choice. Look at the economy, look at the state of dating apps, look at the state of dating period. Divorce is at 50%. People are trying to create this image that marriage is all perfect and married people are happier, married households are better, married men are richer men, but divorce is at 50%. Just because you've signed the papers doesn't mean everything is all sunshine and rainbows now. Something else I see a lot of people talk about, but I actually don't think is that deep, is I see, people on podcast by 2030, 45% of women are going to be single and childless, and how we don't prioritize motherhood enough, and we need more people pushing family as something to aspire to. And I also see people who enjoy this argument almost like weaponizing singlehood, women, if you're not careful, you're going to be single with 6 cats in your 40s. And I'm like, being single isn't a threat anymore to women. The only people I see unhappy with the statistic, nearly half of women single by 2030, single and childless. The only people I see unhappy about this are men. Women are very happy being single. You'd be shocked. If you sat in on the conversations women have behind closed doors, women are very happy single. When it comes to broader happiness in life, women have other women. You could be a single woman in your 40s, 50s, you will be happy and emotionally content in your relationships because you have other women to be friends with. Whereas say you're a guy, I don't feel like that. I don't know if that's the same. I don't know if men genuinely have other solid male friendships to really give that emotional fulfillment.
The process of making and sustaining friends is just something that men are really struggling with right now, much more so than women. And I think there's a couple of things going on here. One is we're revealing the extent to which a lot of that work was actually outsourced to women before, right? So if you're in a couple, how often are the social arrangements made by the women? They do a lot of that maintenance, the relationship maintenance, and the men free ride on the women.
We don't need relationships to ease the feeling of loneliness. Like if we're lonely, we have other friends for that. Whereas I think maybe something that men use as an aid for loneliness is relationships. And that's how maybe it honestly panics them more than it does women. Also, when it comes to going back to work, something I was really surprised to hear about is there's not always much support for getting you skilled back up to your levels that you were before. Like I was reading some articles about how a woman kind of returned back to work after 9 months. So much had changed in her department, and like she was just kind of thrown back in, expected to pick things up where she left off. And it was quite sad. She was talking about how it really affected her mental health and how she was literally having thoughts of like quitting the job because she felt so out of touch. And it's not something I've ever thought about before. I can't even imagine the stress of feeling, behind at work, having to pick up where you left off 9 months ago, and then also having, a child who has so many needs emotionally, physically, you go from work, which is a very now stressful environment where you're learning from scratch, and then you go home and you're learning from scratch again. Like I can't even imagine what a whirlwind that is. And I hear people always say it's just the first year, or it's just the first 2 years. It's the newborn stage, and it's the terrible toddler stage, then it's fine, then you pick up. I feel like these are one of the things that again pushes you into a corner of not feeling ready or feeling terrified. Now you're backed up in the corner and you literally don't want to come out. Like we're armed with so much information that makes us feel like we're never going to be qualified or ready to have kids, and it pushes off the decision further and further. And actually maybe your mind does change actually. I'd be curious to know from you guys that do have kids, does your mind change actually when you meet the right partner? Because I'm currently single, I literally don't have a partner. So maybe when I do have a partner, we've been together some time, things are stable, I'm stable in my job, I'm not unemployed, I've not been kicked out of my doctor role because I didn't make the training post. Maybe actually then I would feel oh, I have stability. And I don't know, do you feel ready once you have the right partner with you? Is that what made you think I can have kids now? Because a big thing I see a lot of women talk about is the loss of identity. When you have kids, naturally they become your world. And I'm sure that's an exciting thing. I'm sure that's the most amazing thing, because whenever I'm looking at a baby, honestly, I feel you could just look at a baby for hours. Their eyes are so big. They literally just they make the weirdest noises, and they smell and they fart, and they're just so cute. You could actually look at a baby for hours. So I'm not surprised that they become your whole world. There's so much you physically have to do for them. But then the person that you were before, whether it be the hobbies that you had, books you read, all the spare time you had went to you, and then now it's going to this amazing little person. It just changes who you are. And I'm sure it's exciting. I think about that and I think it's exciting, but you do lose yourself in a way, the person that you were before. And I've read about how that can affect friendships even. I've read about how women have been part of social circles where they were really active, really involved, meeting friends all the time, but they become a mum, and naturally your priorities change. You don't really want to go out for cocktails if you're going to be breastfeeding, or you can't really do the same spontaneous nights out when you have to look after your child in the evening. And it's quite sad, but I have seen it affect some friendships. It's not always the case. I'm sure that when you are, a real life mum, you can probably make friends with other mums. You can probably go to those classes or those daycare things, and you can make friends with other mums. I was having a heated debate with my mum about this the other day, about how the stats around how many kids are not planned. In the US, I read something 50% of children unplanned, or was it 50% of pregnancies? In the UK, I've just seen this statistic where it's a third of births in Britain are unplanned or ambivalent. And whether or not this is a contraception issue, or we weren't trying but it's a lovely surprise issue, or whether it's I was not planning for this but I don't really want to end this issue, I don't really know. The way I see it is almost everyone I know, bar one person, is absolutely pro-choice. Everyone I know is very much, you do what works for you. You do what works for you and the future of yourself and the future of this baby, but ultimately do what's right for you. However, all my friends say that. However, sometimes I do think, when you are in that position and say you do have an unplanned pregnancy, is it actually the same attitude? Sometimes I think maybe the reason why it's nearly a 50% unplanned pregnancy rate or whatever it is. Like maybe that's because, you know, lots of people are pro-choice, but sometimes when you are in that position, I think you'd maybe make a different decision, because there's so much more that goes into your decision to have a child than am I ready. It's also like, is my partner ready? Does my partner even want this? Am I financially stable enough? Is my career stable enough? What's even more important than having the child is, are you having the child with the right person? I feel like everyone would ideally love like an equal household, but I'm starting to learn that this is actually a myth. Like the myth of the equal household. I was speaking to someone recently who is pregnant, and I was talking to them about their partner, and I was talking about like, you know, are you nervous? Like, you know, first time mum. And she was like, yeah, I'm nervous, but I'm excited. And I was talking about like, oh, you know, don't worry, you've got your partner. Like, I'm sure they'll help out with lots of things. But they were saying like, oh no, he's not going to do anything. Like, he's not going to help me. I'm going to be by myself. I'm going to be doing this. I'm going to be doing that. And I was like, oh, like, that's a shame, you know, that's a shame. And I didn't really know what to say, but the more I've been looking into it online, the more I'm coming to learn that like the equal household, split the chores, you do this, I do that, it's not always the case, and it's not as easy to create as you'd think. There's been a lot of research into the fact that a lot of women actually take the invisible workload of the household, whether it's like little things like planning things or remembering birthdays or keeping up to date with like shopping and things in the house, discussions with in-laws, like just little things that don't seem like much, and it seems like oh it'll be fine, but like a lot of the invisible workload does get placed on the women. And when I think about it, it's actually really hard to truly create an equal, truly 50-50 household. I almost don't even think that that is possible, because, you know, say you do split up the chores or the bills or the mortgage 50-50 truly, but on a week-to-week basis, priorities and workload around the house does change. Like one week someone might be doing more compared to the other person who does less on one week. And then even say you did want to balance that out and you're like, I've been working so much this week, like it's not fair. Like if you did want to balance that out, even bringing up the conversation, giving a suggestion, you should do this, that even is quite a bit of work in itself to do that regularly over the course of your marriage. Like I don't think that equal is as possible as it seems. And I don't think that's a bad thing either. Like, I don't mind putting in more of the work. And like what someone said, I can't remember whether it was a podcast or a book, but I heard someone say like, you know, a good marriage is actually 100-100. Like you both give 100%. I actually think I prefer that to the thought of an equal household, because I am someone who genuinely just loves to help. Like even with my friends, I will go above and beyond, or like I will deliver more. I will drive to their town. Like I will like really think about a good birthday present. I will stay late. Like I just will give. Like I think that's almost my love language. Like, is it giving gifts or just giving? Like I am a giver. And that's why, going back to what I was saying about like having a child with the right person, that's even more important, to be honest, to me than like the right time to have the kids, because I know if I end up with a partner who doesn't give as much, that is a recipe for disaster. Like that literally would not last a very long time at all. It's almost really important for me as a natural giver to find another giver. That way things would work out and things would end up being like 50-50 actually, because we both give 100%. I was reading a very sad Reddit post a while back when I was planning this video about a woman who was almost like regretting having kids because how much it took her back in her career. And it was so eye-opening to read. She was not the only one. It was a very popular Reddit post with like hundreds of comments. Other women feeling like, yeah, I feel the same. Like, you know, I took a salary cut, or I went back to work, no training. I feel so behind because no one's trained me on how to get back up to things. And, you know, deep in this post, there was actually someone kind of made an insanely profound point. Like, okay, sure you feel behind. Sure you feel like you're a failure at work and a failure as a mum because you're not doing the mum thing right and you feel behind at work. But this is the perfect time to kind of ask yourself what your values are truly. Like, is your true number one calling in life to pursue and progress your corporate law career? Or is your true value more aligned with like a really building an amazing household and building an amazing family? Because ultimately, you know, you can love your job and love your work, but your job won't love you back. If giving and giving and giving to your career fulfills you, then like go ahead and do that. But there's going to be no time in the future where your boss gives you all the love and validation and support that you'd be looking for, or even your career as a whole. Like what I was gathering from this post is, you know, your job won't love you back. That line, your job won't love you back, stood out to me. I was like, I never thought of that, but that makes so much sense. It's funny because right now I'm actually currently on my elderly medicine placement, complete opposite to what this video is talking about. But what I'm learning, actually, I'm learning a lot from working with elderly people at the moment, because a really common thing I've noticed is as you get older in life and as you kind of age, you lose a lot of friendships, a lot of the time quicker than you think. I can't remember the last time I spoke to an elderly patient like at work and they were like, oh, my friend is coming, or like, oh, my, you know, my friend or my colleague, like whatever they say, like, you know, when someone's really ill, they're in a hospital, they're an elderly person, it's often like, my wife is coming, my family's coming, my grandchild is coming, my brother is coming. It's all family. And it's honestly making me think a lot like, whew, sure as hell enjoy your friendships, make the friendships, connect with people, network, build your community. But like Christina, when it comes to you getting older, like a lot of the time what will be left is your family. I feel like it's a reminder for me, and maybe as well for you watching this video, when it comes to your support network, not just family but even friends as well, because we'll have a lot of friends in our 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, like for a good chunk of our life. I feel like your happiness actually comes from who you're spending time with. And maybe when it's the right time, that will be a partner and a household and kids and a family. But in the meantime, I feel like it's just so important to pour into the people around you, because like I was saying, I mean, Harvard's longest ever study, it wasn't that health and fitness is the number one contributor to your well-being. It wasn't that a high-paying career was the number one contributor to your well-being. It was the people you have relationships with. I know what you're thinking. Oh, but it's so hard to make friendships nowadays. Like, it's 2025. Everyone's online. It's so hard to meet people in real life. A lot of us buy into the idea that we need to, you know, if we're feeling lonely, I need to make more friends and, you know, go up to more people. I need to put myself out there and bumble BFF. Actually, I'm a big believer. You don't need more friends. You just need connection. That is what I speak about in a lot more depth in this video. So if you're looking for something to watch next, then it should definitely be this. Please let me know your thoughts on this in the comments below. I would love to read them. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.